Hello everybody, Jonathan Reeves here with another Vectorworks video. Today we're going to look at powering up your productivity using Vectorworks libraries and also covering some other really nice elements of a workflow. Now this is a really fun little project that I've created just to demonstrate and show you the power of using libraries in your projects and how we can basically increase our productivity fairly dramatically with some fairly simple measures. So I do hope you enjoy the video. It was certainly fun to make, and I look forward to your questions as ever in the comment section. Thanks for watching, enjoy. So just before we get started on the tutorial, I just wanted to take the opportunity to show you my website with the new library packs that we've been working really hard on. There's some really nice new texture packs and image fill packs, and as ever there's some nice things like furniture. The people libraries, that's a free one actually, so this is a free one for you all if you'd like to visit. There's a couple of other ones like the free sample textures as well. So do check these out, these save a lot of time and we've worked really hard on them. They're definitely really there to increase your productivity. Okay, so let's get started on this new tutorial. So the very first thing we're going to do is use something that I don't normally use, which is actually the grid. And basically I'm going to go in and set a reference grid of 6 meters and a snap grid of 1 meter. Now you can see the blue grid on the screen, and this actually makes it really easy to snap 1 meter increments and also to 6 meter for the major grid as well. So this is something that I don't use very often, but it can be useful for starting out projects when you want to work on a particular grid like I do for this one. So the very first thing I've done is drawn a rectangle and I've right clicked to create an object from that shape, and I'm going to make a slab. Now I'm going to go ahead and replace that slab with something that I've already got pre-prepared from my JRA slab libraries. So we just click onto the button here, we can navigate through to our favourites, then we can go to the new libraries and select the slab pack. Now you can see there's some really nice slabs in here. These are all sort of adapted, and some of them are for the Vectorworks ones that I've changed and tweaked, changed the textures and so on. So basically I can replace those as I would like to. Just note the datum, and sometimes you're going to want to edit that datum afterwards. I think what we'll do is also just change to a white background. I do like working in dark mode for drafting, but actually for modelling and rendering I prefer the light mode here. You can see the one thing I did want to change on that slab was the datum, so that the timber boarding was now the top surface. That's just so when I drop things like my furniture on a bit later in this project, you'll see how it will sit on top of the floor. So we'll click OK. That's cool. I've still got the original polygon there that I was used to create the slab in the first place. So now what I'm going to do is right click, create object from shape once more, and this time I'm going to create some walls. But this time I will leave the shape as well. Let's go ahead and replace those walls like we did with the slab. This time I will go to my other library, my JRA Walls library, and this is something that I've kind of adapted and built up from Vectorworks resources over a period of time. I find it really helpful to my workflow. You can see that when I go to this file, there's absolutely loads of different kind of wall types and constructions in here, and all of these can be adapted. That's the wonderful thing. So I just thought I'd show you that one, but actually for the purposes of today's project, I think what I'm going to do is maybe go to something that I've actually got ready in this little file here. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one here, wall, brick, timber cladding. Now you can see that when you bring the wall in, you get the red sort of datum line, so do select the side that you want to replace with. I want to keep the external face the same, so that's worked quite well. The only thing is the walls have flattened back down again, so we're just pumping a height of say 3 meters, maybe a bit more, maybe 4 meters. In fact, the other way that we can do this is we can link it to the layer wall height and just right click and edit the layer, and if we just actually type in the layer wall height we would require 4 meters, that means the walls will snap to that height. Okay, so we just need to make sure the top offset value now is 0, so those walls will be 4 meters high on top of the slab. Okay, final step then is just to right click once again, and we'll basically create this floor slab, or the shape rather, into a roof actually this time. So again, we'll use the slab tool because we're going to have a flat roof for this, and we can basically replace it one more time with something from our libraries. So for me, having libraries available as favourite files is one of the key steps in productivity, and the libraries do take some time to develop, but once you've got them, it really makes your workflow much more rapid. And the good thing with libraries is it tends to be something that you build up as you go along. Let's just click onto the slabs. We're going to have a flat roof is essentially a slab. So let's go for a different type of construction, obviously for the roof than we had for the floor. We don't need any timber finish. I think that one will do nicely. And we've got the datum there. And then finally, we can just tap in the height. We would like this, say 3.5 meters, just to raise it up. Finally, you will notice that because that was generated from the original shape, it doesn't quite link to the walls correctly. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pick boundary and simply select the 4 walls and click the green tick. So now the walls bound. The slab bounds rather to the walls. So if I did move those walls at some point, the slab would stretch with it, which is good. What we'll do then, we'll just put that into its own little class called roof, and we'll set the elevation to 0 and 0 because I've already sorted out the correct height for that roof layer. And we'll just simply turn it off for a minute while we're working. Okay, great. So it's coming on my little design. The next thing I'm going to do is go to the column tool. And basically just going to go up into the settings before I drop this column and basically type in, so we're just going to go for a structural only on this one, and we can click OK, and then we can place our column onto our grid. So that's the nice thing about having the grid at this stage, we can snap easily to that. Have a quick look at that column. I think I'm going to make it a bit bigger. Let's change the size to 300 by 300. The good thing with the parametric columns is they're very easy to modify. What also just do is pop it into a class called column, use it creation, and we'll select textures. Now let's go into one of the JRA texture packs for this. You can see that it takes a second or two to load in if you've got lots of resources, which I have for this particular demonstration. And I'm just going to open up my new libraries, pop down to my texture pack down at the bottom here. There we go. And if we scroll through, you can see a really wide range of really high quality textures, all sorts of things that I can use. I quite like the idea of this being concrete, I think. So let's go for this one. It's a bit of grain on that as well. So we'll click OK. That will immediately apply the texture to the object, you can see. And then we can flick back to top plan. Now what we'll do is we'll just modify that one more time. I'm going to make it a little bit larger, 400 by 400. Hold down the Alt key and drag off a copy, snapping it to my grid. Then I can just do Command D to duplicate and essentially replicate that spacing. So this is a really great way to almost create like a duplicate array, just using Command D each time. Excellent, that's looking good. So we're going to get the wand tool. We're going to go into the settings for the wand tool. We're going to select by object type, and we're going to select all of those columns just because with a single click with the select Similat tool we can get them. And now what I can do is actually link them to the layer wall height that I've actually programmed in earlier on. Change the top offset value so it's all 4 meters, just like the walls there. It's looking good. Okay, brilliant. So let's move on to the next stage, and what we'll do here is essentially we'll just go to the top plan. And just to finish off this structure, we're going to use the structural member tool, which is a really nice tool that Vectorworks offers. And this offers a wide range of elements for doing things like structural beams and things. Now the really good thing is we can click into select structural shape, and we can modify that shape to basically anything that's available from the library. We'll kind of just leave that for now. And what we'll do is we'll just put that up at 4 meters high, just so it sits up on top of those columns. And I'll just grab it and snap it down, just so it's kind of aligned with those columns there. Finally, we'll pop it into its own class as ever. It's always good to keep organized, and we'll just put that into a class called steels. Use it creation one more time, go to textures, and once again, we'll select something nice from the texture pack. This time I think I'm going to go for more of a kind of weathered steel or something like that. So let's have a look and see what's available in our texture pack. If we scroll around to the right section, we should have something that we can use. Okay, so you can see lots and lots of nice materials there. Here we go, that's kind of what I'm looking for. Something a bit sort of metallic and a bit weathered. That's perfect, excellent, I like the look of that one. So we'll double click OK, that will apply it to the steel beam there. Kind of like a rusted sort of steel that I'm looking for, this kind of look. And if I want to, I can actually just pop back into the settings, go to all the different parametric settings for this particular object. And I think what we'll do is we'll go to British Standard, Universal Beam, and we'll choose a slightly bigger steel size. It's quite a chunky structure, this. That's good. Okay, fantastic. So now we can go back to top plan, hold down the Alt key, and simply drag down and snap to our grid, and then Command D a few more times. You can see, just like we did before, to replicate that duplicate array. So that's looking good in that direction. We'll duplicate, Command D, we'll rotate, Command L, and we'll basically pick it up. Let's do this, snap it to the correct point. Excellent, it's looking good. And we'll hold down the Alt key one more time, and we'll just duplicate across in this other direction. So you can see it's a really nice little technique. Now, if this doesn't work for you, just make sure you check in your preferences that you have the Offset Duplicates command turned on. So really, really pleased with that little bit of structure. That was very nice and quick to do. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll pop it into front view, select all of that structure, and we'll just put it in its own little layer, because we might decide that we want to turn off this structure at some point. So using layers is a great way to isolate things. We can do it with classes as well, but I quite like to use a combination of the two. Okay, so I think for our next little element here, we're going to go off to the resources one more time. And what we're going to do now is basically go and put some doors in. Now, I've got a really nice little file of door styles that I've created for a few different projects that I begin to build up into a library here. And the lovely thing with door styles is you can just drag and drop them in, and all the settings that you spent some time on previously will be correct. So I can drag that and snap that into that wall there. Let's just kind of move it to the center there, and that should looking good. Yep, excellent. And then we can use the mirror tool, just check in 3D first, to mirror it, M for mirror, on my workspace, just around that central column. So it's really nice and easy when you're kind of designing with a bit of symmetry like we are in this little example. So I'm going to double click and drag in some other doors here. This time I dragged them in. You can see I went a bit skewed there, but it doesn't matter, because as soon as I drag them into the wall, they will basically sort themselves out and basically align with the wall. Okay, now this particular plugin was a bit of a different size in my other project. So what I'm going to do is just basically edit the style. And if I go into edit style for this particular door, what I can do is unlock the width and the height and maybe a few other areas, things like the leaf if I wanted to, the different styles. Let's go back to general. I think I'll also unlock the operation and the leaf number as well. Click OK. So what that means is everything is going to be by style, apart from the width and the height, and those things that I unlocked have now come alive. So I can easily just change the door number and the door size. Let's have 4 panels and 3600. So that fits a bit better in this particular project. Okay, great. So what we'll do is we'll select that door one more time. This time we'll do it in 3D. We'll click M for mirror, snap onto our column, and even in 3D we can mirror across. That's looking really good. We'll select both of those, and back to top plan. I'm just going to hold down the Alt key one more time and drag them across using Shift so that they actually align and snap right across to the other side of our little model. So we've got some doors on that side as well. Excellent. So the design is coming on. As I say, it's not a real project, it's just a bit of a fun project that I thought I'd use for this particular tutorial. So going back really to our productivity tips here, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things. So the nice thing is with things like slabs and the BIM tools, you can customize these. So if you would like to maybe cut some holes in them for a Rooflight, for example, all I need to do is click a circle, make sure I'm on the right layer. Actually, that was probably the wrong layer. Let's just go to the roof layer, I think. There we go. Yep, excellent. So let's just cut that into my roof layer, paste in place. And then what I can do is select them both and right click with my workspace and clip surface. I notice that I can actually cut right through the entire slab to cut a hole for a roof light here. So that's cool. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll do the same again on our basically other side. I'm just going to turn the grid back on for this just so I can get the alignment correct. Go up to the middle there, pull across, up to the top and snap. type in the same size, and this time we'll select the roof and the shape, and we'll clip surface. And now what I'll do is actually draw back in the Rooflight. So you can see cutting holes in slabs, dead easy and really, really productive. Okay, so using my circle tool, I'm going to get the 3-point circle, and using the automatic plane I can automatically snap to that opening. Okay, so now we can use the offset tool. Let's flick to top plan. We'll just offset outside. I'm going to hold the B key down just so I can select the shape that's inside. Hold B again, select that one and bring that one to the front. So that makes it easy for me to select them both and right click, clip surface. We'll pop into 3D one more time, and now I can basically extrude this out a bit by say 500mm, bring that up, and let's just put that into the same sort of texture as the columns there for concrete. And basically I'm going to extrude the glass. Let's do say 20mm or something, maybe a bit less. Let's just offset it first actually, just so we can clip surface. And the reason I want to do this, just so we can create the glass, put that into the glazing class. We've already got one because of the doors. Let's do that, that's good, it goes clear. Then we'll extrude this little kind of frame-like element here, and we'll just give that a nice sort of dark grey colour. You don't always have to use textures, sometimes you just don't need to, just a colour will do. Good, okay, so if I hold the B key down in elevation, I should be able to select those elements there and just drag them up. Just try that one more time. So hold B down, select across. Really love the X-ray fill, it's so useful. It means that you don't have to change view all the time, and you can actually work in pretty much multitude of views. Oh, whoops, looks like I've basically stretched my walls out a bit, so let's sort those out. You can see one of the beauties was as I stretched the front wall, the roof slab did go with it, and that was because of the bounding that we created earlier on. So I'm just going to pull it back and stretch it back into place. But that's a good thing. If this building was quite a modular building and you wanted to experiment with some different sizes and shapes, because it's all connected using the BIM tools, that would make it very nice and easy. Okay, great. So final couple of moves here on this little bit of ground here. I'm going to draw a shape in. Let's extrude this, and I'm going to go -3 meters just to create a nice big thick ground plane there, because I might sort of do a bit of punching into that later. I'm now going to use a wonderful tool that I've shown you all before in my other videos called the extracting tool, and this allows me to just extract that top surface, and this time I'll extrude, let's actually do a minus extrude. The good thing with going minus is it goes away from you, and that means it goes below the floor. So I'll just move it down 100mm just so we can clearly see the floor of the building in there, and let's just move that ground plane down. Okay, great. So what I'm going to do now is go to my textures pack, and this time slightly different technique. Rather than just dragging and dropping, I'm going to open the file. And this is a really, really good thing to do with the libraries. Here you can see the lovely little front page that greets you with the instructions for the libraries. And if you double click on some of the layers, it'll kind of just take you through some of the kind of content in those, grouped into samples, but also there's one major one here with everything in it as well. It just takes a few seconds to re-render the very first time you look at it, but here are these amazing, gorgeous textures. They're really high quality, totally seamless, and they took a long time for us to assemble. But having got these now into a pack, it's really, really nice, and every time I do a new project, I know, more or less which materials are in which pack. Now, one really nice thing about this technique is when I copy these cubes, you'll see a very special little trick. We'll copy a few of these into our project, and you can kind of use it a bit like a sample board of materials. Now, you'll notice that all of these are classed up. So basically, if I go to classes here, all of them have text hyphen, then the name of the textures. So the great thing is by using class, when you copy them, we go to our other project file and we just paste those in. Just note here that the textures aren't currently in the file. Just let that refresh. And you'll notice that there they go, they're not there yet, but as soon as we click and paste, not only do the RenderWorks textures get transferred to the document, all the classes come through with it. So this is really fantastic in terms of productivity, because it gives you both organization and consistency of materials and textures. And now it's just a case of maybe using the eyedropper tool, and you can see that that transfers not only the texture but the class as well. So it gives you a really nice, fast way to try out some different options of materials and classes, as well as having the benefit of keeping nice and organised. So really, really fun. Excellent. So I'm just going to drop that down a tiny bit more. I want to make sure that I can see turn my roof off, just so I can see my floor for a second. There we go. And I just want to show you how to edit the textures of the floor. If I go and edit the slab, all you need to do actually is either edit the class here and actually go and edit that slab class, or if you can't be bothered to do it a bit more sort of quickly, you can actually just modify that to be the texture class that you know is the one that you want to assign. So that is the class that assigns that graphic texture to that component of the slab to give you a really nice material. Excellent. Okay, good. So we'll carry on with another little phase of this project in the next video. I really hope you've enjoyed part 1 of this tutorial. In the next bit we'll add in a lot more detail, some furniture, trees, a bit more landscape. We'll be looking at how to set up some renderings and sheets as well. So please make sure you sign up, notifications for the next video coming soon. Thanks for watching.